first couple years after my injury, I cried probably every single day. I would get so tired trying to do something that had been so easy 8 months before. When that was out of my system, I'd say, okay, time to carry on. And I would start slowly trying to do whatever I'd been doing.
Five years after the tragic few seconds that changed her life forever, Jessica Vliegenthart can openly recount her most painful memories without a hint of emotion or remorse. It's all part of a never-ending healing process that has given back her life, a husband, and a future. Growing up in Kamloops, Jessica had an ideal small-town life. Good grades, a basketball star, a backcountry hiker and skier. Adventurous and restless, she journeyed to New Zealand, and then in the summer of 2004, returned to Canada to work fighting fires in the Northwest Territories. That's where everything in her idyllic life came to an end.
My crewmate and I were in a truck patrolling a backcountry dirt road that we were using as a fire break, and suddenly the truck began to fishtail, and then the truck was flipping, and then I was outside on my back. My initial thought literally was, wicked, I'm paralyzed. I don't know how to describe what it's like to suddenly not be able to feel half your body, other than you know instantly that something is very, very wrong. The pain was excruciating. I thought I landed on an axe. I punctured a lung and I'd broken 18 ribs. The unbelievable pain and nausea and sickness that I was feeling, just kind of, I got to a point where I honestly thought, like, well, if I'm gonna die, I don't really care.
It took 3 months of acute care, 2 back operations, and heart surgery before she could even attempt rehab.
I came from a place where I couldn't get dressed by myself. I couldn't sit up. I had to get help eating. There was exhaustion, sadness, confusion, anger was there. And above all, the most intense frustration I have ever felt. I was tired of talking to doctor after doctor who was coming to tell me what was wrong with me, how I was broken, how I would never be able to do blank again, kind of thing. All of a sudden, there were all these new words that were attached to me. Gone was firefighter, athlete, and strong, replaced by those other words. Paraplegic, disabled, wheelchair. I wanted to scream that, like, these new words didn't apply to me.
Her athletic background accelerated her recovery. Physically, she was used to pain, but the mental battle was almost too agonizing, even for her. Rehab meant the simplest things had to be learned slowly, step by step.
The first time I got back into my chair by myself after falling out, that was a big moment. It was a big moment for me, but it was more of a big moment because I could say to my family, like, look at what I just did. I'm gonna be fine. In the scope of spinal cord injury, I'm pretty lucky. I have my arms, I'm very strong. When I was sitting there in the hospital, mourning the loss of what I'd had, and then you meet somebody that has a gigantic power chair and they can only move it using a straw, and they have this crazy positive outlook on life. You see that and you think, what am I crying about? Like, nothing. So, smarten up.
Basketball became another challenge. She hadn't played since high school and was reluctant when the wheelchair teams came calling.
There's so few women with disabilities involved in sport that they kind of took one look at me and said, you're 22, you're 5'10", you have previous athletics experience, and they called me the Trinity. I wasn't expecting it to be nearly as rough As it was, coming out of an injury, spending a year in the hospital, like everything hurts all the time. You've come out of this like almost like bubble wrap existence, and all of a sudden you're in a gym on a floor playing against men for the most part. I didn't like getting hit. I was like, I didn't like that. I mean, it's not a nice feeling when, you know, you're just trying to play a game and somebody slams into you and you're like, why would you do that? And that's part of the game. And so
she was a natural. In her first year, she was the only woman to make the BC team at the 2007 Canada Winter Games in Whitehorse. It was where she met her future husband, John, one of the able-bodied competitors allowed on each team.
it was like forced socialization. You had to hang out with your team, and I sort of saw him for the first time and thought, oh, this boy's kind of cute.
It wasn't really until 3 months later in March when she had kind of got ready, dressed up, kind of dolled up, hair done, makeup done, wearing normal clothes, and there was a real wow moment. She was gorgeous.
Thought that he was quite a good-looking young man and a nice guy, and so that was where we first met.
Just doing things, I didn't really even see the chair. You know, we're going to go out and do this, and it wasn't until we get to a location and she said, well, we can't do this. And I'm like, well, why can't we? It's a set of stairs, you know, I'll take you up the stairs.
It's my best friend. We talk and it's good. It's right.
The other love of her life is wheelchair basketball. Once she got used to the intensity, she began to enjoy it more and more. The bigger the game, the bigger the stage, the bigger the thrill.
Keep him! You can keep him! I like big games. I like the pressure and I like the feeling. You'll have a couple of seconds or maybe even a minute where like everything works perfectly. And it's just like the coolest feeling ever. There's 5 of you on the floor, but it's like you're making eye contact with everybody. You know exactly what everyone is thinking, and it's like you're like a hot knife through butter.
Jessica is the only member of the national team on Vancouver Island, which forces her to create some pretty imaginative practice routines.
I invent games for myself. I invent drills. I do a lot of pretending. Pretend that I have a giant German girl breathing down my neck when I'm doing layups.
She's always been super focused. Never will let anything ever hold her back. She came into wheelchair basketball not really knowing what to do and how to do it, but she kept on going. She trained really hard. And, you know, it really pays off for her.
And so for someone to say to me, oh, well, you know, you had this injury, but now look at you, everything happens for a reason, you're on the national team. And no, I'm on the national team because I went out and I worked my ass off in the gym every day, and because I made the choice that, okay, I'm in a wheelchair, but I'm going to do everything I possibly can to be as healthy and as fit as I can be.
Her busy career makes the rest of her hectic life verge on the frenetic. From fall to spring, every year, she juggles the playing and traveling of basketball with the hard work of second-year law school and the long hours in the classroom and the library.
Yeah, I was in Alabama with the team. There was a strong part of me that has always been interested in social justice. I'm a hard worker, I'm determined, and I'm smart, and I like a challenge. The life of a law student is glamorous and exciting. It involves reading. I like debating and I like reading about things. I like knowing how things work. But nothing gets me fired up as much as being able to, you know, listen to somebody's problem and say, no, you know what, I'm going to take this on. You worry about your family and getting better. And I'm going to do this because I can. I've got the energy right now.
Spent 4 hours getting the car fixed.
I fell asleep in the library today.
Really?
Yeah.
Must be nice.
Even high achievers need a break now and then. For Jessica and John, an evening out with their friends is a rare and important chance to kick back, relax, and for one night at least, put the combined pressures of law school and high-performance sport aside.
To courage!
Her intensity and drive are only part of her colorful personality that emerges in the increasingly few moments to herself when she gets to hunt for downtime essentials like licorice,
nectar of the gods,
and fan magazines.
Most people would be like, I bought a fishing pole and a flare gun. No, black licorice and gossip magazines. I'm gonna enjoy my last couple hours if that's what it turns out to be.
In the new life and times of Jessica Vliegenthart, athlete and scholar, Victoria is home for now. Once she finishes law school, she may wind up anywhere. Wherever the future takes her, she'll be ready.
Since the accident, I have changed, not in my intensity or determination, but in the sense that I'm a lot more relaxed now. I used to be like maybe a little bit too intense, a little bit too determined. But now, to be honest, if I fail a class, it's just a class. And if I lose a game, it's just a game. And this drives my professors and my coaches crazy, but at the end of the day, what does it really matter? Nothing. I care about my family and my friends and the people that show up to the hospital and you need them to show up, and that's pretty much it. I have a lot more clarity now than I used to. I used to get pretty anxious, very stressed out. Now, not so much. I almost died like 6 times. It's kind of nice. It's like an epiphany that most 21-year-olds don't get to have. You know, you figure that out when you're 80. You're on your deathbed, but I got that lesson 60 years early.